Stay in what? Oh, my God.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
My good friends Jaime Caponetta and John Caponetta are here. You're both Caponettas, right? I never knew. I got to figure that out. Sometimes you know different names. Anyway, we met each other during pandemic.
Yeah.
Alex and I decided to adopt a pandemic dog, and we're like, oh God, this is not working out. Remember I had Ollie at the house for 5 minutes after we landed from adopting him, and Alex was like, we got to take him back right now.
I remember that.
How did we meet you guys? And
Alex and John became first friends on Facebook.
Right.
So that's how it started.
Right. So you guys became friends because you're trainers, and he's like, we need you.
Well, what happened?
I think him and I became friends on Instagram like way before COVID, just over like animal things, like zoo stuff.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so we had this dog, and Ollie was just nuts, right? And we don't know what we're doing. And we had this other dog, Max, who's great. He's just the perfect little
You got
dog.
the unicorn dog.
Yes.
It set you up for failure.
I know. Is that what that is?
Yes.
So thank God Alex had reached out to John earlier, and then Jaime, and then they during COVID, they would come over.
Yeah.
We'd sit outside, socially disconnected, whatever the hell we used to say. God,
Yeah.
I'm so glad those days are done.
Me too.
And we would sit on the screened-in porch floor, and we would together just kind of train the dogs. And it was just a lot of fun.
It was. And I think for you, it was a little eye-opening because a lot of it was not the physical training. It was more talking about your lifestyle and what this looks like and what you're struggling with him and how that kind of pans out as a family versus sit, stay, and come.
Right. Sit, stay, and what? Oh, my God. What chapter in the book is that one? Anyway, so Jaime worked her ass off to write this book. And and the story behind getting it done is very interesting. It's called Stop Training Your Dog. And I said, you got to come on the show and talk about it because you and John, and your lives are so relatable beyond training dogs. But let's start with Stop Training Your Dog.
Yes.
Why do you call it Stop Training Your Dog?
So I wanted a decently catchy title for you to be like, wait, what does that mean? And really the meaning behind it is stop training and start teaching. You're trying to force all of these things, but you're not understanding that the lack of connection that you have with your dog is actually the problem. Now this book talks about a lot of emotions. So in the very beginning, I'm like, listen, if you're not ready to tap into your emotions, put the book down because you're not going to like it.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I tell people like there's a lot that goes in this and it may hurt. Like it may hurt you where you're like, oh, wow, I'm actually the problem. And not in the way where other trainers will tell you, oh, you're not being alpha, you're not being the leader, you're not being rough enough on your dog, they're taking advantage of you. That's all BS. None of that actually exists. In reality, it's if you aren't understanding and being empathetic for your dog and knowing their struggles and putting that all together and saying, okay, getting curious and saying, my dog is acting this way because, and what can I do to avoid that? But also, how can I fix their trauma? How can I fix the negative attention seeking? Because that's for a reason. You know, you mentioned the other day, the girl who came on, she talked about her Italian mother and she just kept praising the dog with treats because he kept taking the pen or something like that and growling.
Right.
And you don't want to praise bad behavior, but at the same time, did she get curious and say, why is he doing this? Why is he taking my pen and growling?
Right. There's a reason behind it.
And that's what this book does.
Just calling them an a-hole isn't the full story.
Oh. Exactly. That's only part of the story.
It's only a small part. It's the end. It's the end of it.
They're doing a-hole type things for a reason. Not just because they're just an a-hole. Now, follow along. If you don't have a dog and don't even care about training a dog or teaching a dog, I still think that all of these principles apply to communication with a human being as well.
Absolutely. I talk about kids a lot in this too because they're very, very similar.
Okay, so let's talk about writing the book. All right?
Yeah.
So Jaime is dyslexic.
I am.
She has 2 kids, 2 sons, and another on the way right now.
Yes.
She wrote a book. And you guys have a farm where you have pigs and animals.
We have a pig and 10 goats that are all rescued.
And you're doing rehab at the farm.
Yep. Yeah, we have our rehab facility. So right now we actually have Kyla who's with us.
Yes,
who
she needs
is
to be
looking for a
adopted.
home. But we take in these dogs from shelters or rescues that need a little bit of help finding their home. We take them in, we work on some of their behaviors, and we try and promote them up for adoption.
They get to decompress.
I've written a book, and that's impossible to have all of those things going on. But you did it.
Yes.
And of course, with the help of John, making sure the house was stable, you could go upstairs and write.
Yes.
Now, talking about, just go back to what you were talking about. Let's circle around.
Yeah.
About behaviors you see or you're experiencing from your dog. How do you figure out, oh my God, let's make a connection here. That dog is doing this because of this. You got to just consciously think about it that way.
Well, I think because of what I know, I can link it really clearly. My goal is for all my clients is to teach them well enough where they can do it themselves eventually. Like I always say, like when you work with me and you learn from me, you should be able to do this for generations of dogs. Because it's not super particular to that one dog. If you know how to get curious and you know like the little things that can set a dog off, anxiety, like all of this stuff, you can say, oh, okay, I've dealt with this before, or okay, this is an odd behavior. What do I think the connection is? Like my friend the other day, her husband's a doctor. He's gone a lot. And the male dog will come home and the second he sits on the couch, he'll start to hump his leg. And he's like, why is he doing that to me? And it's like, because he misses you. It's stress related.
Oh my God. I'm going to start humping people's legs.
Go home and hump out. I missed you today.
Yeah, I miss you a lot.
Yeah, it's like it's a displacement behavior. So they do it because they don't know what else to do. They're like, pay attention to me, and he goes right on his phone, or he's talking to his wife or his kids, and the dog's like, no,
it's pay attention to me,
please.
And how many times do you find kids are the same way,
100%.
adults, our friends are the same way? They just want your attention.
Because what does he do? The second he starts humping, he starts yelling at him.
Yeah, right.
Just because he doesn't know what else to do. I mean, nobody really wants to get humped like that by a dog.
Well,
I mean,
speak for yourself.
To each his own. But that's what the dog is saying. Even though it's negative attention, it's still attention. It's the same thing with kids. Any attention is good attention.
Okay, let's talk about another parallel between dogs, kids, and adults.
Yeah.
When you leave to go to work and they get very anxious. Like I know Ollie, we can't really leave Ollie
unattended
alive. I mean, he goes a little crazy, then he calms down.
Yeah. He's a COVID puppy.
He's what?
He's a COVID puppy.
He's a COVID puppy. He's used to being around people all the time.
He went for 3-4 years being with you guys 24/7, and then you decided to go back to normal life. And he's like, hold on a second, we don't do this.
Right.
Why are you doing this?
This is the same thing with kids and people in general.
Yes.
Like, if you were by yourself, a lot of you want to stay by yourself now because you're used to it.
You're like, oh, I like this.
Right. And then, like you said, with the kids, it's separation anxiety. You've been home with your parents for so long during COVID, and now you want to send me back to school? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's the same thing.
But what do you do then if you had a pandemic puppy, a COVID puppy?
It takes time. You got to work through it. It's really with this type of training, it's positive reinforcement, behavioral training. So it's not just cue-based, right? Like go sit in your crate and wait and like just relax protocol. Like that kind of stuff doesn't work over time. What it really looks like is over time working through that problem in a way where you're supporting them, you're holding the boundary firmly, but with empathy.
So what does that mean in the course of the day?
So like, let's say you wanted to crate train. You really need, I have a lot of, I work with a lot of expecting parents, people who have kids, and sometimes the dog needs separation from the kids, or they actually need to leave the house eventually. And we have to get to a place where the dog is safe, right? If the dog is left home alone, going to get into stuff, destroys stuff, puts themselves at risk, like our dogs, both of our two bigger, older adopters, they would injure themselves. Like if we left them, it was traumatic. Like Oakley almost killed himself. It was horrible. And we had to work through that by crate training him because otherwise he would be unsafe in the house.
You can't crate train a kid.
No, that's a little different. We can touch on that.
Could you? I guess you could. Anyway, but continue. I'm sorry.
So working with that crate in moderation. So we're doing like enrichment in there, and we'll get on to enrichment. That's a big topic to talk about, like frozen bones, frozen Kongs, work to eat toys that actually keep their engagement. You want to say, no, when I leave, you actually get all of your resources. And I'm just going to leave for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to keep working through this.
So we start in short periods of time away. For instance, we went up to June Farms with the dogs, and great place. We wanted to leave them in the room so we could go out to dinner with their friends. We couldn't. Ollie started screaming like a lunatic.
New room, right? Never been there before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Max was there with him, but he couldn't handle it. No.
Fight or flight. He was like, this is weird. He's like, you're abandoning me.
Oh, we give him tranquilizers. It's all good.
Oh my God.
that can help sometimes.
I know.
What chapter is that in
Actually, there is a whole chapter on medication, so yes.
Shrinking your dog.
Well, no. When we fly with them, we have to. We have to.
A lot of dogs need it. It's a lot.
It just so happened I had the bottle and the thing, and it's like, okay.
You were prepared.
I have a question.
I felt like I was cheating, though.
So I always thought like, oh my gosh, you're gonna bring a child into the house, and the dog's gonna be protective of the kid right away and love the kid right away. But is it like if you bring a new sibling in, does the dog get jealous? Will dogs get jealous?
100%. So it depends on your dog's personality, okay? Thankfully, our 3 dogs pretty much love our kids, which is great. But there are a lot of dogs that they will understand, okay, if you do XYZ, let's say like you wait until the baby comes home to get them out of your bed. You're like, oh, I don't want my dog in my bed anymore now that I have a baby. And you wait until the baby comes home. You are blaming the baby without the baby even saying, hey, I'm consenting to this.
So then the dog's
like, all right, F this kid.
Right.
Like, okay, no. And if you, as a dog, you were allowed to lay on your mom 24/7, now your mom's breastfeeding and pushing you away.
Oh, yeah.
F this kid.
It's the same thing with siblings.
If they come over and they kiss the baby and you're like, oh, don't kiss the baby. They're like, okay, again, I don't like this kid.
Right.
I'm getting yelled at all the time
so
now.
this baby's the problem.
This didn't happen prior. Now, what's the common denominator?
Then stop having babies.
I swear, our Chihuahua looks at us like, are you guys having another? Like, she's like, is this for real? Are you guys kidding me?
Wow.
Yeah. You cannot blame the baby. In both situations, like even with siblings, right? Like I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I really see that JJ, the 4-year-old, really struggles with Joey now being so cute and talking and playing, and he really struggles with that. And I have to remind myself, don't hit your brother. Like I have to work through it with him, not connect the two of them, because he's gonna be like, all right, well, anytime I'm near Joey or playing with Joey, I always get in trouble.
Yeah.
And it will be that, like, you're on his side all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm hearing here? Are you hearing it as well, Gandhi? The connections between this and just everyday communication and interaction with our friends.
How we communicate with each
people.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. If someone walks through the room and they're like, in a snit, I don't stop and go, oh, God, wow, what a bitch. It was like, well, hold on. There's a reason
You're having
why.
a bad day.
There's a reason
What's
why
going
Danielle's
on?
acting like that.
Hey.
Yes.
Interesting texts. Educator here. These are great tips for students, especially kindergartners who didn't have a first school experience because of COVID.
Yeah.
Are we seeing so many behavioral issues in the classroom? Yeah, we are seeing these behavioral issues in the classroom.
Yeah.
Also, the woman on the show, Jaime, by the way, is talking about the basic principles of applied behavior analysis. I do this for a living. But with the children and adults living with autism, I'm loving everything she's saying. By the way, if you're just turning us on, Jaime Caponetta is here. Her book is called Stop Training Your Dog. It's available now. It's already hitting some best,
I got bestseller in 3 categories.
That's awesome.
Which was pretty amazing.
What's up, Nate?
I have a question.
Okay, I don't have a microphone.
I got one right here.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the question. So is there like an IQ test for dogs? And I say this because I have seen dogs that I'm like, okay, feels like that thing should be a little bit smarter than it is. But it's not, I don't know if it's just not trained. And I can't have dogs, but I see people with dogs. And I'm like, why is your dog running around like that?
Yeah.
So it's
a great question, actually. So I always explain it as there's 2 types of dogs. Now, there's obviously like other umbrellas underneath that, but you have your happy dummies and you have your smarty pantses. Okay, your smarty pantses.
Your happy
dummies.
Happy dummies.
Elevator music is playing all of the time.
Okay. Okay. All
They,
right.
I like that
marshmallow
life.
for brains, can learn. They can do obedience cues. They can, go with your lifestyle. They're very much so go with the flow. We have 2 happy dummies, and they're just happy to be here. They're happy to be fed. They're happy to live indoors, and they appreciate every moment that they are alive.
Okay.
Okay. I look at Oakley, and I'm like, there is just like la 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 all day.
Oh,
all
my
day.
They're
God.
like a goldfish. They swim around the bowl and it's all brand new.
Yes.
I want that life.
And
for
he's
me.
just enjoying himself 24/7, and he's been through hell. He was in the South. He was abused. If you move too quickly, he'll flinch. But he still absolutely loves people and all dogs. He's been attacked by dogs.
Wow.
And he's just so forgiving because he's really not that smart. I love him to death.
Okay.
But if he was stuck in a paper bag, he would not be able to get out.
All right, I got you.
Let's
Okay,
put
so
it that
the
way.
smarty pants.
But he's a therapy dog. He literally is a certified, so he can do amazing things, but he is not that smart. Okay,
all right.
Right. Then you have your smarty pantses, which is Pudgelina, our 12-pound Chihuahua. Okay, she was born. If she could talk and had thumbs, she could be president. Okay. Smartest dog I've ever met in my entire life. She is just ready to go at a drop of a hat. She's like, all right, you wore that last week. What's going on? Like, she knows everything. Like, to a T, I'm pretty sure she's known every single time that I've been pregnant before I've known I'm pregnant.
Okay, with my schnauzers, I have 2 smarty pants, actually.
So
one more than
Ollie
the other.
is a mix.
Right.
I will say very...
You just got told your kids.
No. Listen, it's for the benefit. It's for the benefit of him because being a smarty pants is not fun. So that's a big misconception. Everybody says, I want the smartest dog. I'm like, you want the dumbest dog in the room. I'm telling you, you do not want a smart dog. Everybody with their Aussie Shepherds, your dog is smarter than you. This is not going to work out.
With your other half, too? Like, you don't want the smart one, you want the dumbest one in the room.
How do we know we don't have that?
Being a smarty pants is honestly torture.
Okay,
for
so
them.
Max is the smarty pants. And because he's so sensitive, he's always tuned in. He looks you
watches
in the
your
eye.
every move, hyper focused, more anxious.
So it makes him anxious. And so Ollie, being more of a dummy pants, whatever the hell he is, he just kind of lets things go.
Yes.
Right?
Rolls off his shoulder. He's more go with the flow. But he's still smart.
Right. No, he's brilliant.
Yeah. Right. So there is a very small percentage that can be both. So my parents' dog Gatsby is both, and he struggles.
So, okay, this text is interesting. This is all great and fine and all, but my dog is a dick.
Oh, you got
That's
my
not
text.
a question. That's a statement.
Froggy, did you send that, Froggy? Was that you?
Yeah, here's the deal. I was like you. I had a dog, and he is the best dog ever in the history of dogs. And so I went back to the same person. I got a dog from the same mom and dad. I thought, okay, I'll recreate this dog. I got a smarty pants, and I got just a, hey, I'm just happy to be here dog.
Excellent.
Is that normal when you, even from the same litter, from the same mother and father, you can still get 2 completely different animals?
That is such a good question. Absolutely. Think about kids.
Yeah.
Okay, my 2 boys, same parents, completely different children. Completely. Right. JJ is extremely social and just inquisitive, asks all these amazing questions. Joey is, I pick things up and put them down, and very much so wants to learn but not be social. Like, they are complete opposites.
Wow.
And we've basically raised them the same. I know, at the same time, like, we are different parents now that we've done this before with the second one, but really their personalities are completely different. So genetics really, at the end of the day, they do have a lot to do with it, but you could have a whole litter of puppies that are all completely different.
What about your puppies, Danielle?
My puppies?
Not your breasts. your 2 sons.
Yeah, they're completely different.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly? One of them is more like, it's harder for him to make friends or like, be in social situations. He gets nervous. And the other one is the part that I
social
think is
butterfly,
be the party animal in college, you know?
That's exactly my kids.
It's crazy.
100%.
A lot of people are texting in, what's the name of this book? It's called Stop Training Your Dog by Jaime Caponetta.
You can find it on Amazon.
And you're already doing really well on some of the Amazon lists.
Yeah,
right?
I got bestseller.
Okay.
You know what's amazing to me? Like we were saying how we teach kids or dogs or whatever something, and then we're trying to say, well, now you can't do that anymore. Like lay on your belly. Well, now you can't do that anymore because I have a kid and you can't lay on my belly. But whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like potty training. I always think like you're telling this kid you can crap in your pants. For
all these years.
And then all of a sudden.
And then one day.
Right, you're telling me I can't crap in my pants anymore. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
How am I supposed to learn that quickly?
That's what we call
work.
a negative association.
Yeah.
Because now you just changed the game on me.
Right.
Everything I've ever known is now completely different. And
Well,
it doesn't seem fun at all.
No, and then when you get to a certain age, you can crap your pants
That's
again.
what I'm saying. And I'm approaching that again. I'm so happy. What's your question, Scary?
One of my friends, every time company comes to the house, the dog gets so excited, it runs in circles and it pees everywhere.
Yeah.
Is it teachable to, prevent the peeing from happening?
So, yes, but I always want people to understand submissive, exciting peeing is not an accident. It's not in the same category as not being potty trained. Oh. Okay? It's not. It's overexcitement, and some dogs throw up, some dogs will pee, will poop. It's just a bodily function that they cannot control. So they're so excited that their body literally was like, oh, I forgot how to hold that. Sorry, my bad. Okay? It's called impulse control, teaching impulse control. This is the same exact thing with kids. If they never learn how to calm down, you don't teach them how to come down the ladder on their own without you getting involved, they will never calm down. So you ever hear people say, oh, they'll calm down as they get older? BS. No. it is not a given. It is a skill that needs to be learned.
How do you teach them?
So it depending on what the situation is. In those situations, I would have them work at the door quite often. You can't do this like once a month. It's got to be more consistent and basically come up with a method that works for that dog. So a lot of times my favorite method is literally giving enrichment the second you walk in the door. So like, Scary, if you're going to come in the door, they already leave a frozen marrowbone or a frozen Kong right outside the door. You give it to the dog. The dog's like, oh, thanks for this peace offering. It has something else to mentally focus on while also being excited that you're there.
Okay, I get that.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, here's this present and hi.
For instance, Ollie always has an animal in its mouth. I like a plush toy.
That's self-soothing.
That's excitement.
It's on purpose.
So if ever he knows he's about to go outside, he runs out the door and he'll pick up a pile of leaves in his mouth and just run with them.
Oakley brought me my heating pad one time.
There you go.
Aww.
It was adorable. I was like,
okay. Was it plugged in?
No, thankfully it was not. But yeah, he was so excited. He brought it over to me.
Gandhi has so many questions.
I do.
And so many thoughts here. So
many. Okay, first of all, can you teach an old dog new tricks?
Yes. Okay, because think about it this way. I always say this. If you're 20, can you go to therapy?
Sure.
What if you're 60?
I mean, you can go, but I don't know if they're going to change.
It's going to take a little bit longer because you got more ish to work out. But you can still go and make positive change for you and the people around you. So it's when it comes to training, everybody thinks obedience, right? You think, how do I get my dog to do X, Y, Z? And it's like, no, well, what is your actual goal? Right? If you're dealing with like dog reactivity, your dog hates other dogs. You go on a walk and your dog's losing their mind.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the case.
If they're one, you'll work on that a lot quicker because they've had less time experiencing those emotions. But if your dog is older, it may take a little bit longer, but it's 100% doable if you do it right. So we want to say we like dogs. We're not saying shut your mouth. Your emotions don't matter here. No, you're fearful. You're fearful of that dog. I see that. Right? I get it. Dogs can be scary. That dog's barking at you too. I'd be scared. And you're saying, no, every single time you're around a dog, you're getting all the love in the world, treats, praise, the whole nines. And you consistently do that until your dog is like, oh, we're not in fight or flight. That was silly. I'm good. It's like kids with thunderstorms. If you tell them to man up and stop crying, they're going to be like, this sucks. And I'm never going to tell you how I feel ever again. Right? But if like with my 4-year-old, John and my dad last summer when he was 3, he realized that thunder was scary. And instead of saying stop crying, they sat in front of the window, they had popsicles together and they watched the storm.
Oh, how fun.
And now every single time there's a thunderstorm, he wants to call Poppy.
And
say, oh, there's a thunderstorm, Poppy, we have to watch together. Like now that's a positive association. So it's the same thing with dogs that are dog reactive. Make it a positive association over time. The mailman, same thing. Your dog hates the mailman. Every single time the mailman comes, give your dog hot dogs.
Oh, wow.
Every single time. Okay, I kind of like the mailman now. He's not trying to break into my home.
What if you're not
I'm not
home?
getting yelled at. Well, that's harder.
It's home when the mailman comes and the mailman gets dead.
Let's hear it for wiener therapy.
Yeah. Always works.
Usually they won't bark if you're not home.
Oh, okay.
Usually because they don't feel as protected when you're there. It's like kids, right? When you're there, or when, let's say your kids go to school and they're super well behaved and they come home and they're like blah, just all the emotions everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's because they're really comfortable with you. At school they don't feel as safe, so they're not going to do that.
I'd rather them do that at home than
Me too. Me too.
So my sister got a pandemic puppy.
Yeah.
They were home with her for a year and a half-ish, and then they both went to work and they moved. And her behavior changed dramatically.
They both went back to work and they moved.
They moved to a new house. They went back
Double
to work.
whammy.
Now she cannot be around anybody but about 4 people. She's the sweetest. She's the smarty pants. She's the sweetest. If somebody comes over, she wants to rip their face off. Yeah. How do you even start to work on that when she wants to rip somebody's face off?
So them going back to work and them moving was very traumatic for her all at once. So she is kind of still in a fight or flight. So she may actually have a chemical imbalance right now.
So I would believe that. She's a little.
So a lot of times if like I would work with her, I would kind of look for some characteristics and say, okay, like your dog may need medication. And just for a little bit. A lot of people will say, oh, if they're on medication, they're going to be on it for life. That's not how I work. Especially like humans. You go to therapy, you go on medication, you should eventually wean off. Your body should not need that for life. The goal is to work through these issues. So obviously she's got a lot of anxiety and she is very much so, like her cortisol levels are higher than they should be. So her brain is like, oh no, we're not okay. We have to freak out.
Like constantly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, nothing's okay.
No, I need to stay safe. So I need to keep everybody away from me.
And then what about approaching dogs you don't know, asking for a friend? Are there things that you should and should not do?
God, yes. Oh my God. If you say, it's okay, my dog is friendly, stop it. Stop it right now. A lot of times when dogs are like meeting, I never do face-to-face meets ever. And this is actually a whole chapter in the book, Socializing Your Dog. We don't do face-to-face meets, even the friendliest of dogs, because that's like going on a blind date and just basically coming up to the person and making out with them. Like that would never happen. That would be weird. Right? But we do with our dogs. We're like, oh, is your dog friendly? Oh, let's just go right to each other. They both go and do the yin and the yang and they're both smelling each other's butt and you're exposing your neck. And you don't do that. Like that will send like adrenaline to the body. Like, okay, again, we're in fight or flight. Do I need to make a decision? We're basically asking them within the first 5 seconds, decide friend or foe. And what I like to do is go for a pair walk. So, oh, is your dog friendly? Yes, but can we pair walk together? Can we just give them some time to like get used to the fact that there's another dog here and then they can meet each other eventually when they're walking? And we just slowly, as we go, get closer and closer together and see how they act.
Wow. Look, this is why we love Jaime. And Stop Training Your Dog is out. It's on Amazon. It's waiting for you to buy it. If not for you, someone you know would really, really love to have this. What a great gift. And having you guys here is awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, all the socials. How do they follow you guys? Is Possum University still a thing?
So we have recently, in the last year, I decided to write this book and everything has changed. So I decided to now niche down. I really want to just focus on families expecting children, toddlers with their dogs. So I actually started a brand new Instagram. It is at Jaime the Dog Trainer, Jaime. I spell my name really weird, thanks to my parents. So that is my new Instagram. You can follow me there. John will be taking over Possum University. He has not yet figured out exactly how he wants to take it yet.
Yeah, it's going to be more. We're going to continue to educate people about dogs.
Yeah.
So you're still doing the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a no.
So that one took a back burner. I have a new podcast.
That's bad because that podcast you guys did together was awesome.
We should probably start it up again. We just have to figure out exactly what John wants to do with it, where he wants to take it. But we're both on this journey to really find exactly what we want to do now. We started this business and we both realize now that we're parents, 3 kids, things change. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is 100% what we want to be doing. So the new podcast for me is called Paws and Pacifiers.
Possum Pacifier. Okay.
That's so cute.
So many different ways to pipe in. What we're going to do is we're going to put it up on our socials at Elvis Duran and Elvis Duran Show. And then we'll make sure they know exactly where to go find you guys. Stop Training Your Dog. Jaime, John, thank you guys for coming in today.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
That was awesome. A lot of great feedback. People loving it. How do you feel about dog parks?
Oh, I hate them.
Okay.
It's like it's like going swimming with no lifeguard. Like there's no referee and your parents are there, which completely changes that. So like if I brought my dog, now again, my dogs are mostly dog friendly. Pudge doesn't really like anybody but the other 2. Like they wouldn't start a problem. But like let's say I have a dog who's very protective of me or jealous and another dog comes up to me, I'm basically just putting my dog in a really bad place. And that's where we see a lot of dog fights because our parents are there, so we feel differently than we would at daycare. I like daycare. If you go to a good daycare, you have good attendants that make sure everybody's safe and that there's no, BS behavior going on. That's great. I don't like dog parks because, again, there's no one there to say, okay, you're out of bounds. Like, you need a break.
Wow. There you go. So,
wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I keep bringing up other topics, and it's like, wow.
I know. I have a question, but I'll wait till we're all.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, I wanted to know. So when I was babysitting a dog like years ago, a bull mastiff.
Okay.
And the dog loved me. When my sister came over, it attacked her, and I had to actually stop the attack from happening. And I was like, well, I don't understand the difference. The dog was so friendly.
Yeah.
Why is it friendly to me, but then not friendly to her? She's a nice person. Like, I didn't get it.
Your dog didn't know her.
Well,
I don't know.
And did you meet the dog when the parents were there?
Oh, yeah. I knew the dog for a long time.
So to that dog, that because his parents weren't there, he may have been like, oh, this person's not supposed to be here.
Oh.
So there could be a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
She could have looked like someone from a traumatic issue. Like it could have been a myriad of things.
Really?
But what I'm thinking is that because the parents weren't there and it was just you and you were alone. It also, once you give us the answers, it was like, oh. It's so simple.
That makes sense.
Why didn't I think
When
that
I
through?
talk to my clients, they're like, why didn't I think of that? I was like, because you are looking at it in a magnifying glass and I have no emotional attachment to the situation.
Here you go.
Like you absolutely adore your dog. You have all this baggage with them. There's so many emotions. Like I am looking at this from a very logical point of view. And that's why I'm able to give you these answers because it's not my dog.
Is there a dog breed you would tell people to stay away from?
Ooh, be careful here.
So here's the thing, because I know I was listening when you guys were going over like the worst behavior dogs. It's very much so. Again, those smarty pants breeds, we want to make sure that we are getting dogs that are behaviorally sound, that they are not the anxious dogs. Now, they still deserve love, don't get me wrong, but they're the ones that if your lifestyle can't handle that, like if you aren't able to say, yes, I'm taking this dog on and I'm ready to handle anything they throw at me, don't get that dog. And a lot of people will go for aesthetics or how the dog looks, but in reality, you have to really look at like what kind of behaviors are usually stereotyped to this dog.
How much exercise does that dog need every day? Does it always need a job to do? Does it sleep all day? Whatever.
And that's not always like perfect either. Like you could have like, the golden retriever. Everyone's like, oh, golden retriever dogs are amazing, right? I've trained a lot of golden retriever that also have chemical imbalances due to bad breeding. Like brothers and sisters making puppies. That's not supposed to happen. But it does happen because people don't care. Bad breeding.
Wow.
So you have to be careful. So when you get a purebred dog, you are essentially sometimes taking a risk when it comes to genetics. You're not always going to get the perfect dog in the world. So I prefer mutts. That's my thing. I like the mixes.
There you go.
Right?
That's why you married John.
Hey.
All right. Again, Jamie, John, thank you for coming. Stop Training Your Dog is the book. Grab it today. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.